somebody else's ignorant statement? Of course I can.
Nope, not happening. Listen. Listen. Hey, it's the Backpack Show. Hello, welcome. Hi, Kerry. What are we doing today?
Today is so much fun. So first, we have Aeryn Colton, one of the very first female Eagle Scouts in the United States, one of the first non-binary Eagle Scouts in the United States. We're going to talk with her about, we're going to talk with them about their journey. And we have a very special holiday celebrity couple on that was a while in the works because this is a very busy time of year. But we're going to talk with Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus.
Yeah. And I get to talk about, the old days of back when I was a scout.
Oh, I was a Girl Scout for a hot second. I was a cadet because my mom wanted to go on all the field trips and stuff. And then she worked weekends and didn't go at all ever. So I'll have to tell you about my camping trip sometime, but suffice it to say that our leader was on the verge of going through a divorce, and it was like a miserable experience. So it was great. So I did not go on after cadet. I know.
Stay in bed today, kids.
We were out in the woods, totally at her mercy, and she made us miserable all weekend long. So.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm so happy. Bob Collins over on the LinkedIn's. You never know where he's going to show up. He's wily.
Just messaging me, and I was like, I'm doing a show, Bob.
He showed me a great picture of Santa Galactus from Marvel.
Love it.
So big into that. So it's really exciting. We're going to talk to Aeryn Colton about being an Eagle Scout, and I was a Boy Scout. I begged my parents to be a Scout, and in Augusta, Maine, where I was a Scout, we had a very active troop, and we did a lot of cool outdoorsy stuff. It was Maine, right? So like the outdoors is right by your.
I was on Cape Cod. But why would my mom sign up? She did not do any outdoorsy stuff. I'm telling you right now, I don't get it.
It makes no sense. It does not clock with anything else your mom did or didn't do.
She just not.
Must have presumed something was going on, but we did everything. We did the 50-mile canoe trip. We did the 1-mile swim. We climbed mountains and all that sort of stuff. And then I came down to Massachusetts, and my Boy Scout troop would like to. Their idea of a cool outing was going to the mall in scouting uniforms. You know what's not cool? Scouting uniforms. You know how you don't get a date? I'm in high school, right? I'm already picking up chicks, and I'm like, hey, would you like to talk about this merit badge? It's in orienteering. And I cheated.
And they're like, no. But find yourself the right person, and they'll be very interested in hearing all about your merit badges.
Yes. So I'm anxious to talk to Aeryn Colton for a bunch of reasons. So the Scouts, I don't know if you know the history, but Boy Scouts of America, renamed to the Scouts, they opened up their doors to both genders, which was a big deal a short little while ago. And of course, the trans community, the non-binary community goes, hey, hello? And they went, oh, right, sorry, also. And so Erin, assigned female at birth, comes into Scouts, becomes one of the first female Eagle Scouts, but also first non-binary. So there's a lot of commentary and questions around that. But I want to start with scouting because, man, it's tricky, right?
I hated so many things about scouting.
Hey, Fred's an Eagle Scout.
Fred's an Eagle Scout? That doesn't surprise me at all. Also, Fred just surpassed 2,000 followers on Twitter. Fred Faulkner. According to Fred on Twitter, everybody could use a few more Twitter followers.
4 times 2,000. That's 8,000 Faulkners.
Chris, how do we run this show? How do we do it?
Thank you. Change because you guys are bitches and you all leave at the ads.
Stop it!
Sponsored by StreamYard.
Don't you say that.
Brogan, that means I'm looking for coal. All I want is coal. My house is heated by coal.
Santa is here right now. I can't even believe you just said that.
We're sponsored by StreamYard. You can make a show with no cussing whatsoever, completely clean. You could say no cuss words at all on cbrogan.me/StreamYard. Make your own show. It is so easy. The closets could do it.
All right, are you finished? I'm asking because I have a yellow card and I want to do it.
We're sponsored by FSB Associates, the makers of pub-site.com. And we are so excited about that sponsorship because we have the opportunity to help authors get their websites put together super easy. Pub-site.com. You can make a site so easy, a couple hours it would be done. unless you're lazy, and then $500 and you'll be done. Either way, it is really great.
It's very easy to do. You should do it yourself. There's a 14-day free trial. Check it out. After that, it's just $19.99 a month.
Holy cats. I have to say one thing. So we're doing sponsors at the beginning because you guys all seem to think that's your pee break.
Stop it.
They do. They all leave.
Yellow card, Brogan. Well, what else is new?
Stop it.
Listen, I have to tell you something.
Oh, no.
There are some people here that aren't normally here. We've been overrun here.
Okay.
We have one Zach. Well, so first off, I'm going to show Santa. That's my dad's beard. You'll see that a little later. We have one Zach Colton here. Oh, you touch it if you want. It's Erin's dad. That's super cool.
That.
And Maria, who knows us from the marketing world, says Erin's my sister's child. This is Auntie Maria. This is how this all started rolling down. So this is how the shenanigans start to happen. So let's just bring out who everybody wants to see. Hey, Erin.
Hello.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You look well lit. Wonderful. So, listen, we are so excited, and I want to start with the scouting stuff first because, like I alluded to, I have so much I need to talk to you about. Scouting is not. I mean, how did you start? Like, because scouting is not one of those things that a lot of people get super jazzed to do, but when they do, there's so much reward to it. But you do have to kind of cross that chasm of, boy, it sure is nerdy. And in your age, it's somehow cool to be a nerd. Like everything you're doing, I could have got beat up for. Talk a little bit about what made you pick all this. How'd you get there?
Yeah, so when I started middle school, so at 10, that's when all of my male peers were crossing over to Boy Scouts. My brother's 4 years younger, and he joined Cub Scouts. Mm-hmm. And my dad, about a year in, became the den leader, and I fell in love with everything. I oftentimes was more enthusiastic about whatever the activity was more than the Cub Scouts. I did every requirement with my dad and the den. I did effectively everything required to get Arrow of Light, but of course I wasn't actually a scout, so I did not get it. Then my brother switched over to Scouts, and I was less involved at that point because siblings aren't really as involved at the Boy Scouts level compared to the Cub Scouts level. And I started hearing about that girls could join Boy Scouts eventually. They were phasing into Cub Scouts first, and then Scouts BSA would open up. And as my dad can attest, I constantly was like, we got to find a troop. Let's start talking to people. I want to make sure a female troop gets opened around here. Like, we're doing this. I had memorized everything I needed to for the first 10 requirements a year in advance.
Wow.
So on the absolute first day that females could join Scouts, I found a troop in my area and immediately signed up.
So I have so many questions. Did the scout oath change? Like anywhere we get to say God, do we still say God? What? Okay, that's all in there.
Yeah. So the only thing that changed is that in the requirements, every time it says boy, it now also says girl. Okay. There's now 2 scout books. There's a boys scout book, which is identical to what it was. I mean, they always update general requirements, but identical to the year before. And then there's the girls scout book. The only difference is that there are pictures of girls in the Girl Scout book.
That's nice.
No other difference.
Is it pink? Please say it's not.
I bet they're all assigned at birth girls too. Like you don't have a mix of folks. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And that's it that changed with girls coming in. There wasn't really anything else major. I think a lot of people were really scared of what would happen, and all that happened is that there were just more troops.
More troops, right? Which what organization wouldn't want more?
Right.
I'm so surprised there wasn't a massive wave of scout pregnancy.
Oh my gosh!
Because that's what they thought. This is what's going to happen. Shenanigans about.
Boom shakalaka! Yellow card, Brogan, and Brogan is going down like a bag of hammers tonight.
Now I guess I'm glad you have so many yellow cards because I'm going to earn them all. But Erin, that's what I'm saying. Like when they said they were going to let females in, that's what they were thinking about. They couldn't have possibly predicted non-binary and trans people.
Yeah, I think that National is just I think they've heard that we exist, but is like, all right, we're going through a lot right now, so we're just going to wait on that one. And they've just kind of delegated it to the council and troop level. Yeah, all the fears that everyone had are just not a thing because, one, all of the adults are amazing at upholding youth protection. So you're never alone with an adult and a child. Even so, I at some point switched troops, and most of my troop at that point was like 13, 14, and I was 17. So during the daytime, scouts always have to be in buddies. I could buddy with another scout member. At night, I couldn't, though I had to take 2 of them with me because I was too far apart to be considered one of their youth. So everyone made sure that everything was done really well, that there wasn't any issues.
Cool. Back to scouting, because badges are not, I mean, they're no joke. There's some real studying that has to happen. There's some real work for some of them. What do you, I mean, besides the actual final challenges of Eagle, which nobody understands, talk a minute about like, what was like one of your worst badges and what were some of your favorites?
Okay, so there's 2 worst badges, and they both shouldn't have been that bad. The first is the swimming merit badge, which is a required merit badge. And because the way that I describe it is I know how to not drown, but I don't really know how to swim. Like, I've been
Not drowning is enough.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
But they're like, all right, do this stroke. And I'm like, can somebody walk me through this really slow? Because, that was harder than it should have been for a 17-year-old. But, and the other was basket weaving, basketry. I'm good at it, but I hated every second of it.
So I did not master basket weaving. So we covered things in my Girl Scout troop, like how to make goat cheese, how to bake, how to get that stain out of your sash. So
Those are Girl Scouts
progressive stuff. Obviously, those are the skills that I was going to need. How to scrub a dirty pan in the woods with only river water, things like that. Because you need to keep your campsite clean or the other women will disrespect you. That's what I learned.
Erin,
some of the things we're still learning. But I did do Girl Scouts, but at some point learning to make friends was mastered, and I was ready for the next thing.
Yes. I never did master that one.
Eagle's quite an ordeal. Can you walk people through just kind of like the sketch of what it takes? You're at life for some amount of time and you've done all the extra stuff. There's all these badges that get you up or ranks that get you up to a certain spot. You get to Eagle. What's the process to get to be an Eagle Scout? And then what does that open you up into?
Yeah, so you do all the requirements to get to life. Once you reach life, you have to be a life scout for 6 months. During those 6 months, you have to continuously be in a leadership position in the troop. You need to earn 21 merit badges. I think 13 of that are like preset required. I hope I didn't get that number wrong. Then you have to do an Eagle project. You have to talk about like how you do your duty to God, living by the Scout oath and law. And then you submit everything, you do your board of review, and that is when you're awarded Eagle.
After Eagle, the only other thing that's left, in some troops, or maybe they don't even do this anymore, the Order of the Arrow. Is that a deal? Like, do you have Order of the Arrow in front of you still, or is that not available?
So I have to look into whether I can join Order of Arrow as a scout or an adult. I think I can only join it as an adult right now.
Okay.
I had hoped to join it in the spring, but with COVID, things weren't happening.
Yeah.
But I am still trying to be involved with my troop and a Cub Scout troop out where my college is. So
Nice.
People are surprised basket weaving is still a thing.
And Zach says, by the way, it sure is a thing. He says, I even have some of Erin's weaving projects at home. So Dad is,
see?
every good parent.
Zach, are you camera ready? Can you grab some of her handiwork and show it to us? We'll bring you in.
And how much is this worth to get him to make him feel bad? So, let's talk. Let's make a horrendous.
Erin came into the troop with a written plan for earning Eagle and relentlessly worked that plan.
Wait, you wrote the plan?
Yeah, I had mapped out everything, every requirement, every part of a requirement, every camp out that I needed, by what date, what day of the week things had to happen. I've got a whole like 4-inch binder.
Oh, dude. Did you schedule your nap times as a kid? Mother, I think I'm feeling.
This show is about business success. Here's an example of how to achieve success.
That's impressive.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Oh,
is that you at college now too, or have you like slacked off and now you're just some weird kid hiding your drugs? Are you still a model person?
Still very detailed, planned, scheduled. I, within a month of being in my dorm, had planned out every class I was going to take, every extracurricular, when I was going to take honors classes, when I was going to do outside stuff for my whole major. And yeah, I'm a plan person.
So then what's the plan after school? Or when are you going to buy your first company or start and found your first company?
I want to go to medical school.
Oh.
My aunt desperately wants me to go into, not desperately, but she's encouraging me to go into marketing or business, because I have done things like DECA, which is a business organization in high school. But yeah, I want to go to medical school.
Your aunt's kind of high up at a pretty cool company, so that's why maybe she's got that thought in her head, because it's pretty damn awesome company. So, there's some really bad marketing people and really bad marketing companies. She's like a little clouded by the fact that she's in a good company. I want to talk gender stuff for a minute. Assigned female at birth, non-binary, so you they, them, or he, him. You're either for all, you got 4 pronouns and people still make it, it's still a challenge, right? One reason is because you still more or less present mostly female to people's classic view of people. Does that mean then you get offended when they misgender you, or does that mean you just go, boy, I get it. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I do feel some dysphoria around it, but it's not that intense. I'm going to pick on my dad a little bit. He just used she in the comments. And it's a difficult thing. I was daddy's little girl for 17 years, so I understand that we do judge a book by its cover. That's why you pick up the book. So I know that you see makeup, skirts. I dress very feminine most of the time. I get that can be confusing. We like to make assumptions. It makes things easy to put things in boxes. So I know that it's not coming from like malintent or anything. I know like my dad wasn't purposefully trying to make me upset or something. Like
right.
My dad, he loves me, right? It's just that our whole society is binary, so it makes sense we want to keep it like that because it's easier to just stick to the status quo.
It's a challenging thing. I mean, again, my son is in that same boat, and over time you really grind it out, and I still do it. I don't dead name. I'm pretty good at that one. But even with that, I mean, I picked out my son's name, and there was a lot to it in my head. So when he just like wanted to chuck it and be like, I think I'll be Vince, I was like, did I get a vote on this? Could I name you a second time? But I didn't get a vote. No. Did not get a vote. No. So it's cool.
Carol says, when I grow up, I want to be like Erin. I agree.
A lot of people do. But that, so I keep bringing it back to it just because I want people to be exposed to someone that they haven't met, that they get a chance to learn something. And it's obviously not the thing you're so like jazzed to want to talk about, because when it comes down to it, this is not a giant part of your world per se. I don't think you're doing a massive, and maybe you could tell me wrong. You say, no, I'm like 40 hours a week activist on top of my schooling. But to you, it's just what it is. Is that how you're feeling, or talk a little bit about how this works into like your worldview?
A lot of it is just like, this is how I'm living. Like, I'm not, at Starbucks and I give them my name to put on the cup, I'm not also throwing in my pronouns. But I also recognize that I'm in a unique position that most people aren't meeting non-binary people in their day-to-day life. We might see it on like the TV or online somewhere, but it's easier to be like, I don't have to worry about that right now because that's like not in my life. So, I do bring it up more often, and like gay jokes are sometimes fun to make, if I can just blame my driving on that. So I think it's like a healthy balance of like, it is just like one small part of my identity, but I also want to enjoy that part of my identity.
Sure.
And if people want to follow your journey, the whole palette, that's the best place for them to go.
Yeah. So either there or a little bit on my Instagram. That website started as a honors project for my anthropology class, where that whole class is take every history class you've ever taken and everything you think you know about society and culture and just throw it out. All of it's wrong. And understanding that gender is biologically confirmed as not being just 2, but it's also entirely a social construct. And, the way that we view men and women and stereotypes and, society are all entirely just made up. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. And it's only to make our culture feel better. So that's how that started. I want to start taking it a little bit more, talking about neuroendocrinology on there. So that's probably what I'd be coming next.
Wow. So thank you and apologies in advance for the fact that a lot of people who grew up in the 80s, like myself, are going to need re-education. But from what your dad says, you're here for it. So
Yeah, there's a lot to take in. I had one last question, semi apropos of nothing. Did you watch the series Billions? And I asked that question because it's really one of the first non-binary actors to have gotten popular on mainstream television.
I have not watched it.
Okay, it's not an exactly it's not something that would be. It's about people being really mean to each other around money and stuff.
stop trying to make billions happen.
But Asia Kate Dillon, they're non-binary. Asia Kate Dillon, who has a very similar aesthetic, by the way, very short hair, a lot of bit of eye makeup and all that, but played a non-binary person. They're non-binary. They played a non-binary person in the show. And of course, that for most of the season was not in any way a plot point per se. And the only one time that it came out kind of hard was somebody was really mad at them and then flung to the female gender, purely as a weapon at that point, like clearly making it like I'm using it right now. So I was just curious if you watched it, because it's going to be at a point, we're at that point where it won't be called out in stories. You won't say that actor is non-binary. They'll just be.
Well, so for context, my mom would still tell me, oh, that's Becky. She's divorced. Like that was part of her name permanently after that. So they're just for getting divorced.
Just divorced. So, just divorced Becky.
So my mom is a lost cause, probably. But I am here and I am ready to learn.
Aeryn Colton, it was really cool. Thanks for giving us a peek into the land of scouting. Thank you for all of what you're doing out there. And holy cow, I'm staying up with you because, after anthropology and neuroendocrinology, I might have to work for you someday. So
yes, we're all here.
Get learning.
Don't go away. Please.
Yeah, stick around. Oh, I forgot to mention that, but we have a little panel-y thing at the end of the show, so don't go away. You can go pee, but come back.
Stop it.
People pee.
What's wrong with you today?
Neuroendocrinology class.
Oh my gosh.
Boop. That was a reasonable thing to say. All right, don't go anywhere, people who are used to going somewhere, because we're grabbing the clauses
right now.
So push your button. Hello. You're so busy. How in the world can you possibly have a minute to chat with us today?
Well, when you gave me the offer, how could I not?
Blame this one over here because she's been trying desperately to get in touch with you, but thank goodness you answered her letter.
I know, right? They said if I sent it to the North Pole that I would receive an answer right away. And you know what? They were correct. But here's the thing. Santa has email now. And I didn't even know until I found out. So Santa and Mrs. Claus, bringers of joy. How has 2020 been? Are you using now a sliding scale for judging naughty versus nice? Or how is this working this year?
Well, thank goodness for technology. We've been doing a lot of virtual reaching out. And fortunately, we've been able to get in touch with a lot of good boys and girls.
So tell them, hey, for me.
And really, our focus is really just trying to, we know how hard this year has been on everybody. So really just trying to give a bright spot, and trying to spread a little more cheer because it's needed.
It is needed.
So it's probably a little different this year, the way that you're able to bring joy to people. It's not necessarily going to parties and things to say hello really quickly. It's more like waving from the parade float or something. How is this going? How can you bring joy to people while we're socially distanced?
We are very conscious about social distancing, and we've done a fair amount of events, but even when the big thing really is pictures. But in pictures, you can be 6 feet behind. We've been in canopies where children have been in front. We've been in parades where we're on top of a truck and people are in front of us. And we've worn masks. We have very, very beautiful Christmas masks.
And that beard is still visible, right? No matter what.
I don't think I can fit this whole thing in a mask.
You need extra room in your mask for your beard.
I bet people don't realize, but Mrs. Claus has a lot of work in this process. In the moments like the pictures and all that, you must stay very active because somebody gets to be sort of the celebrity everybody can't wait to see. but somebody has to do all of that heavy lifting as well.
Somebody has to do all the work.
Yeah, that is very, very true. It is a lot of behind the scenes work. So there's a lot of calendar juggling. There's a lot of, you have people calling and texting all times of the day, especially now that we're virtual, because there is no time zone. Before, if people were just looking, in this area,
Right.
it would be, closer to the North Pole, it would be, in our time zone, but the phone's going off at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, hey, can you do this? And so, and you answer it. But yeah, there's a lot of scheduling, a lot of prepping, making sure somebody looks good as he leaves.
And I always believe that if one person controls that process, it works better.
Yeah.
As long as that one person isn't you.
We actually agree on that. I have my space and then he has his space.
So now you're writing tags this year. There's good boys, good girls, and good non-binary children. So
it just breaks it down to good and nice and naughty. It's not hard being nice. It's not hard being thoughtful. It's not hard being kind. I know some people find it hard, but it really isn't. To do the right thing, that's all that really matters. I couldn't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to Santa.
Just be a good human. But there is a lot of education that needs on the language.
Yeah.
It's a good point. That really needs to happen.
Because you don't want to offend anybody. You want to
respect everybody.
Right.
No, of course not.
And it's changed in that way. It's also changed in the way just that there's it seems to me, and I could be wrong, I'm curious to your feelings, as generations change, the way people want to interact with Santa has changed as well, right? I mean, it used to be they want to see Santa because they want to talk about the present, and the parents might have wanted to get a photo. But now you must feel like the paparazzi, because there's like 100 people with 100 cameras there the whole time while they're waiting for their official photo as well.
You got to be aware all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it's just doing the right thing. It really is. And it's wonderful to have a Mrs. Claus, and I'm very fortunate that I do, because if we're at an event where there is a lot of children, obviously the children are coming to see Santa, but Mrs. Claus works the line, and I can hear her voice in a crowd, and I can gather little tidbits that will make the experience better, whatever the tidbits might be.
But it is an awful lot, like even just going out to dinner can be interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's we have to be very careful.
I look like this all year round.
So it's sometimes, I think that there was one dinner that we had, there had to have been 3 or 4 families that came over, and this is in the middle of the summer, so you just get used to it, and it's fun. It's just a lot of fun, and I think one of the best things with the paparazzi is, the little kids are great because they'll run right up and they don't care. They'll just be like, hey, it's Santa, and it's fantastic. And then you have the adults that'll kind of just go, look over there, and they get that. But the absolute best is the teenagers, because they'll walk by and they'll kind of stop and they'll look, and then they all turn and then they try to be cool, like, that's not really Santa, not really Santa. But it's hysterical to watch the reaction, and he doesn't always get to see it. So he doesn't always realize, because he's him, so he doesn't see it. So when we're out together, it's like, oh, watch what you're doing. Somebody's watching you.
Better watch out.
Watch out, because people are watching you too.
I was thinking about the out to dinner, and I was thinking about you can only eat so many failed reindeer, so you have to occasionally go out and get like a nice bowl of pasta.
That's horrible. That's horrible. I can't
I'm sorry,
even
that was
believe
a
you.
terrible thought.
Stop
But
it.
I was
have
also
to look
thinking
right
about,
for that. You're
I
gonna
love reindeer just for the show's attention.
Boom shakalaka. Yellow card, Brogan. And Brogan is going down like a bag of hammers tonight.
I can't believe I'm going
Reindeer
to
are
say this,
friends.
but I'm going to earn a red card one day.
I know. I might use like a puce card. Like, we're gonna get far beyond the regular colors. We're gonna go way into it.
So I do have another Santa-based question. Excuse me. The technology obviously has changed. There's a lot of things. I mean, one of the things that was tears to everybody's eyes was that interview with Dr. Fauci explaining how, don't worry, I went to the North Pole and Santa here got, the vaccine, so that don't worry, because a lot of kids had that question. Well, what is Santa going to have COVID? It teaches you, it reminds you at least that kids are very much smarter than we ever want them to be around things that we're feeling sad about. And so it's interesting. Has that come through in part of, not COVID, but, in general, in sort of your closing?
There's been some concerns. We reassure everybody that Christmas is right on target. It's going to happen. Santa will be there.
And Christmas is more than really, just Santa. It's the kindness and the joy that goes around. And so you can't get rid of that. But kids are definitely, they're always COVID, no COVID. They are always more flexible than adults are. And they are far better at adapting to everything than we are. But there has been concern from some kids. Even we were asked the other day, are kids disturbed when you're wearing a mask? And it's like, no, they don't care. They get it. They don't care because it's still us, but the adults on the other hand are very kind of, oh, he shouldn't be in a mask, but if you asked a kid, they could care less because you're still just there and you're talking to them. That's all that they want.
It's a really interesting fork in the road, isn't it? Because how would you want to remember 2020 more than Santa with a mask? I mean,
but of course Santa would wear a mask, because Santa brings joy and loves people and wouldn't want to unintentionally harm someone.
Right, exactly, and follow the rules.
Right.
We've gotten a little bit of backlash because we're very rule followers, especially me.
Yes.
Very. This is a rule, and this is what we do. So when we have to turn something down because it's just not going to, I'm sorry, we can't visit with you, indoors. We're more than happy to do outdoors. We've gotten some backlash from adults, not understanding, and it'll be fine. It's like, well, no, because we need to play the game right.
You talk about the paparazzi. Well, just think about if I'm out in public and we're supposed to be wearing masks and I'm not wearing a mask. And,
right.
And let alone, oh my gosh, it'd be terrible if I didn't follow the rules and went to an event and say I didn't have a mask on and then something happened. You just don't want to be you want to take all the precautions, do the right things,
We couldn't live with ourselves.
It's not that hard. It's not, like I said, do the right things, be kind, be thoughtful, share, enjoy. It's Christmas is a mood. It's a wonderful time of the year. And if only we could share the feelings we have this time of the year in May and in June, and it would just be wonderful.
I've been told it's the most wonderful time of the year.
I have a very important question. I've been wondering since childhood, what kind of cookie will get me the best gift?
It's not cookies everywhere in the world, I have to let you know. There's places that leave me some very, very nice things. Like in Chile, there's a wonderful sponge cake with candied fruit inside. And in China, there's a vanilla cake with vanilla icing and a white ice cream that goes on, and then they top it with strawberries. It's delicious. But as far as it comes to cookies, I've yet to come across a cookie I don't like. I will say though, if you leave out snickerdoodles, I have a hard time not laughing, and that might give away the secret in the middle of the night if I'm eating snickerdoodles in your house.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. How about Girl Scout cookies?
Oh, I love Girl Scout cookies.
Do you have a favorite?
Thin Mints. Oh my goodness.
Right?
You can never go wrong with the chocolate chip.
I don't know what the proper serving of a Girl Scout cookie is. It seems they fit in my
sleeve.
mouth.
The whole sleeve. The whole sleeve, Santa. You've got to stay in shape.
I have to grab Erin back in. I want to ask him a few more questions, but I do have one question. Santa over the years. Boy, it sure probably was a lot easier when kids wanted, baseballs and horses. What are the things that you get asked for that you have to wait later for Mrs. Claus to explain what that was?
I'll say the big thing this year that's going to be a challenge are PS5s.
Oh boy.
But technology over the years has become more and more and more requested. But you want to know something? It's just an expansion of your imagination. If you go back, who would have thought 100 years ago, the things we have now to talk to people on the phone, to do what we're doing right now, to actually have a conversation and see the joy on your face is just amazing, And so it's anything that can expand the mind, especially for good, is wonderful.
There are some side whispers to explain when he doesn't know what a toy is, but we do. The elves keep us pretty informed, and we do a lot of. They make sure they were up to date, but every now and then we get a shock, and we don't know.
Santa, you just have to tell the kids, you don't want the PS5. You can't play Cyberpunk on that.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, well, if you answer back with something that you're down with their knowledge, it blows their minds.
Chloe Forbes Kindlin in Scotland suggests Coletti's cookies, which are from Boston. We interviewed that founder recently. She's amazing. A woman with Down syndrome, kept getting rejected for jobs she wanted, so she started her own company.
Oh wow!
Coletti's cookies, and she's amazing. So we get to talk to her again. And I tried her cookies, Santa. They're really good.
I'm sure they're delicious.
Boston's not that far from the North Pole. Just so you know.
And the proper serving of Girl Scout cookies is 1 box of Thin Mints per day, according to Dave.
Makes my breath smell good too.
I mean, look, you gotta limit yourself though. Just the 1 box a day. Go no further.
That's right.
It
could be as big a box.
Really 1 box if no one's looking.
I like your thinking, Santa.
Someone's always looking. You're Santa.
Right.
Good luck.
I'm bringing Erin back on. Erin, welcome back.
Hello.
We, through the process of this, as you've caught on, one of the things we're looking for is stuff that people wouldn't normally get, or alchemy, or ideas and whatnot. I'm curious to know what's your take when you happen to find a wild Santa in the wilderness. What do you do you have that like, boy, I sure love me a Santa, or do you try to act cool like Santa so 2008?
I mean, at least it's Santa, not like a bear. So we can barter with cookies with Santa, but like with a bear or a raccoon, you got to hope that you can either put it up high enough in a tree or that everything is raccoon proof.
Oh, how do you Santa proof your Girl Scout cookies?
It's okay. We're the Boy Scouts. We'll offer the Girl Scout cookies. You can have those.
Hide them in a box of broccoli.
That's the only option, right? There aren't Boy Scout cookies that I know of.
No, we do popcorn.
Popcorn and those. Yeah. Do they still do those Tom Watts boxes? Those cardboard boxes full of junk? Oh, worst thing ever.
Chip was like, I was late today. What's happening?
You never know what you're gonna get. But no, I do. I think the hiding from bears and stuff, that made me want to know, where are you practicing your scouting? Where were you practicing your scouting? What part of the world?
Apex, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina.
Okay, so there's some woods. You got some woods,
and we'll travel. So,
see, I was scouting in Maine, so we had all the wilderness. We had Mount Katahdin. We had all these Great Lakes. We could go down to New Hampshire if we felt like we had to the White Mountains.
He'll do this all day, Erin.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Terrible.
If you just want to name towns in New England, he's up for it. Santa knows them all too. I mean, we could all just sit here and do that.
Every now and again, we get a little localized on the show. But Durham means that once you're all finished your schooling, you can get a job at somewhere like SAS over in Kerry, North Carolina. That's
Santa,
Kerry's pretty territory.
Erin needs some sea monkeys.
Sea monkeys. I know Mr. Collins is still here. I have to tell you, sea monkeys on the back of those comic books when we were growing up had like bikinis on, and they were on these beach chairs, and they were like smoking pipes because the dad would have a pipe and the mom would have a bikini, and the kids were like frolicking in the pool. And that's what you see for the ad for sea monkeys on the back of the comic book. So if any kid like sent away for these, what they really are like these brine shrimp, and when you get them, you could make the same effect as sea monkeys if you shook Mrs. Dash into a bowl of water.
I'm getting them to feed them to my fish.
Oh, okay.
That's horrible, Erin. That's horrible. Where's your aunt? She needs to talk to you about this.
Yellow card.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure out whether it was cheaper to like get like a brine shrimp hatchery, like an actual like go to a fish store, or if it was just cheaper to get sea monkeys. And
Santa, she's gonna kill them sea monkeys.
Santa, this brings a nice question. Have you ever had
kill them? My fishes.
Fish will kill them. Erin doesn't eat brine shrimp.
It's like depraved heart murder. You just put them in the tank, and whatever happens, happens. It's not your concern. Maybe they'll fight their way out.
The fight. It'll be like a Thunderdome in the fish tank. Santa, that does raise a question, and we might have to require Mrs. Claus's knowledge on this one. Have there been those greatly humorous, embarrassing moments in Clausville? Have you had one of those situations where a kid asks for something that is off the rocker, or or for some seemingly evil reason? Have you ever had those moments where you almost have to report back to the mothership about that one?
No, we've been really lucky. We've had, I think the most creative thing that we had a request for was just this last weekend. And it just spoke to this child's imagination, was just incredible. A notebook. He wanted a notebook.
A magic notebook.
Magic notebook, so that when he wrote in the notebook, things could happen. So whatever he wrote in that notebook would just appear. And part of that notebook, and he was so smart and he was so young and so clever, because he also wanted a snow globe or a globe that you could walk into like a teleporter and just go anywhere that you wanted. So you'd walk in.
Wow.
But he was so clever. He's like, but I need the notebook first so I can write the globe in my notebook so I can get both.
Oh, that's so smart.
Which was great.
All right. I have terrible news.
Stash.
I have terrible news. That may or may not the notebook idea. I'll tell you all about New Hampshire in a minute, Chip Griffin. There's a notebook in anime. This is not a cutesy story or whatever. But Erin knew where I was going. Death Note. It's a notebook where you can write down someone's name and they die in some terrible, perilous way. So I think what this kid was doing. No death notes.
Don't.
But I have a plan. What the kid was thinking was the better version of that. Like, my mom has a new horse that she wanted or whatever. Like, he had the good
say
version.
that now, but it's going to end up like that Twilight Zone episode with the one kid that could send people into the cornfield and stuff. It's going to get weird. Just wait. Don't do it. Oh, I got a little bad news. So
Aunt Maria says that finding out that you're getting your fish for your fish is disappointing because she just bought a beautiful container for them as a holiday present.
You were going to put them up in your room, Erin.
You're probably getting sea monkey banana.
I'll do both because it comes with like a trillion.
You're going to choose which sea monkeys live and which sea monkeys die. Who made you the arbiter, Erin?
If she knows him, she can put him in the
We also had a fellow Santa visiting, because there's a network. So
yes.
Santa Rick Charlie says, "Hi, Santa Rick from Santa Rick Charlie."
Wow.
Hey.
Also, his beard. So.
The death notebook, the gift that keeps on giving.
So Collins points out, by the way, the early Tom Watts kits. So the Tom Watts kit was like a cardboard version of it. It was like a salesman's suitcase, but it was cardboard and it was super flimsy and it was full of things like combs. Like, who buys a comb from a scout? And planning calendars that were made out of paper so thin that the whole year fit in about 2 pieces of paper worth of thickness. It was like flimsy stuff. And you have to go to somebody's house and like crack it open. Oh, and there were like a kitchen sponge broom things. The kitchen ones that you clean out like water bottles with and all that sort of thing. No one wanted any of it. And when you got that case open once, you could never close it again. So you'd be some crappy 13-year-old in somebody's living room trying to stuff it all back in as the case is collapsing on all sides because it's made out of flimsy cardboard. What was that teaching me besides abject humiliation?
Decisions. And Coach Woodard thinks that you're qualified, Erin. You go ahead and make that decision. And he goes, quote of the day: you were going to choose. Sea monkeys die. Wow, Santa, I apologize.
I'm afraid to bring those sea monkeys now.
You don't. Give them to Aunt Maria.
I'm just going to point out, in the land of super high-end technology, this is back to Santa gifts and stuff like that. In the land of super high-end technology, sometimes you can crack right over the wall, past PS5 and all that, with something as dopey as a toy that no one had played with because it wasn't in their youth. It was in their parents' or grandparents' youth. So, for instance, has anyone ever played Shoot the Moon? Shoot the Moon is the dumbest game. So what you see there is that board, a metal ball bearing and two metal rods, and you have to kind of spread it. You probably played it, Santa Rick. That's a big one around the North Pole.
It's mind-boggling.
Right. And it's hard to do. And once you get the hang of it, you feel like a wizard. You look like one. But, that's, by the way, Kerry, when she sent all those letters to you and they weren't going anywhere, she was addressing them to the North Pole. She kept giving them to owls. And so they would show up at Hogwarts. It was a total mistake.
No, just because I was in Slytherin, those owls won't deliver my letters. And I think it's really unfair, I'm going to be honest.
No, listen, we have some inside info from one Zach Colton. The sea monkey tank will sit next to Herb's tank so that Herb can choose his meal.
This is horrible. Horrible.
Or order a metal plate of one social security number was my big Tom. So anyway, we're ending the show. And I realized one important thing. I didn't tell you how the show ends.
No, you did not.
But this is a true story. Every now and again. So I end the show by telling a story about my grandmother. Most of the time, it's not exactly a truthful story. And I never get to the end of the story. But I will tell you this. This is just as an early holiday gift for everybody. Okay. This is a true story. That Shoot the Moon game lived on my grandparents' sun porch, right next to the barrel of Charlie Chips. And Charlie Chips existed up where my grandmother lived because they were delivered. And delivery chips. Think about this for a minute. A person in a truck, like the UPS show, would deliver those chips. So that's the story I would have told at the end. But we have one last thing for you because Kerry's smarter than me. This show is called The Backpack Show because we have one question we ask all the guests. And I have a couple of interesting hunches about this. See, Coach, what goes in your backpack? So the question is this. So the world is crazy, shifting sands, nobody knows what's up, what's down. You can only carry a backpack worth of stuff with you.
But Santa has a big magical sack.
I know it's unfair for us to ask this question to Santa, but we're going to try.
Okay.
For this exercise, you can add one physical thing or one metaphorical thing. Kerry, what's a great example of an old-timey metaphorical backpack?
I love fearlessness and vulnerability. Those are two of my favorite answers. And pride, like in where you came from. Or
you can add something physical like an avocado.
Or a banana.
Or a banana, like 5-time beatboxing champion butterscotch. Yeah, we had a Bible go in. We had a book that you hate.
That was really interesting. Whiskey Nate said put a book you hate in the backpack because eventually if it's all you have to read, you're going to learn something from it and you'll grow to like it.
Kind of liked it. So this is not a Scout approved, nor can you put a whole bunch of toys in a backpack. But what goes in your backpack? Let's start with Eagle Scout Aeryn Colton.
My first thought was a first aid kit. And that part of that is like, Scout's always prepared. But also my troop has a tendency of just falling apart in the weirdest ways. And since I'm going to go to med school, I'm getting my EMT this semester. They're definitely making sure that I get practical application and making sure that I'm practicing these skills very frequently. Because, everyone tends to just kind of fall apart in the most interesting ways.
So everybody should want to be your friend because when they're bleeding out in the woods, you're going to be the one that can help them. Think about it, but you're not much help for sea monkeys. I'm just saying.
Now, again, another little secret elf just whispered in our ear that Erin possibly also would put in the backpack mashed potatoes. You should rue the fact that you told Dad you were coming on this show today. You had a plan and it did not work out to your settings.
I think they regret it.
So extra clavicle.
I do like mashed potatoes a lot. And I'm sure that what he's referencing is that when I had my wisdom teeth removed and during that period where like I was awake, but like, drugged up. So I didn't know anything that was going on. My dad had to take my brother to a Boy Scout camp out. And I, at this point, had not been able to walk to the bathroom by myself. I had figured out how to go downstairs. I made mashed potatoes. I put in like sour cream, cheese, chives, seasonings, and brought it back upstairs and had no idea I did this until I went to take a selfie to show like how puffy I was and discovered I was eating a bowl of mashed potatoes. And we have yet to figure out how that happened.
So were you like chipmunking it a bit? Was that why you were extra puffy?
Well, it was just like, I was swollen because, wisdom teeth, but right. I was taking the picture and I was holding the bowl on my chest and I was like, where did this come from? My friends watched in real time as I discovered a bowl of mashed potatoes.
From Santa.
Well, now it's a early gift from Santa. Now we have to ask Santa what goes in his magical sack. What goes in the backpack for you, Santa?
Kindness, love, and a compass, so I don't get lost on the 24th.
Oh, which you can learn orienteering from Erin. You'll be all set. totally
You'll get
cheated
a
on that
badge.
badge.
Put a badge on your Santa hat.
I cheated on the badge because I found little blue strips tied to grass, and I would be like, "Oh, okay." I would just walk over to that, and they'd be like, "Show me your readings," and I'd show them the readings. And
I had a friend who bought all the badges. Her mom just went to a thing and bought all the badges. She just bought them.
Getting
That's okay to do.
COVID was such an interesting process because prior to this, you had to have all these signatures, but you weren't allowed to have digital signatures. And now I'm not allowed to get physical signatures. So I was like printing and then signing and then scanning and then emailing, and they had to print and scan it. And it was an interesting disaster of making sure that everything was correct to prove that I didn't cheat in any way. And yeah, that was.
You would. You made a binder to make it to Eagle Scout. You would never cheat.
Not on that.
No.
Mrs. Claus, I need to know what goes in the backpack because I think somebody had some pretty okay answers, but I bet you have something else in your mind as well. What goes in the backpack?
So we share the kindness would go in my backpack. And then I would have a picture of our elves. We have 2 elves, and I would have a picture of them. Yeah.
I like that thought a lot.
Just 2. They're very efficient elves. My elves are
They
shifty.
are very efficient.
They have 2 elves.
We have many elves, but we have 2 very special elves.
That's right.
We have a picture of them.
Carol,
Oh,
quick, someone
no.
say something really
So
funny.
true. So true, Carol. I'm very close. The sea monkeys did it.
All right. Gary, am I supposed to tell my Aunt Belle's story tomorrow or today?
Whatever floats your boat, it's your show.
Tomorrow. We have a holiday show tomorrow as well. So we have all holiday shows. We're even doing Misfits Christmas on the 25th. So if somebody hates their family and wants to get away, or someone's not with their family right now and they are having a blue Christmas without me, come to the show on Friday and we'll talk to you and we'll share in our regifted presents.
My elves are teenagers, so they'll be asleep for a while. So it doesn't matter at all.
So I was going to say the story that I'm going to tell tomorrow, I'll start tonight. How's that? It'll be a cliffhanger.
Okay.
So tonight, it's not even lunchtime.
Christmas Eve in the morning.
Yeah, we're doing Christmas Eve in the morning. So my family would go out. We'd go to midnight mass. Catholics. We'd go to midnight mass, and then we'd go out to before that we'd go visit the neighbors, and we'd go out to my uncle and aunt's house, who lived out in the middle of the woods in Maine. Beautiful, snowy, horses frolicking in the fields. Just like the absolute ideal picture. And we'd take my Aunt Belle. My Aunt Belle was, of course, an older lady, and we're in a minivan because that was the year of everyone had minivans. It was pre-SUV America. And in the very, very, very back would be my mom and my Aunt Belle, my grandmother and me, my dad and my grandfather. And I guess my little brother is somewhere in this story, but he's invisible because he's my little brother. And as we're looking at the lights out the windows, my aunt, not my grandmother, said the same thing every time she got very excited about some holiday lights.